Five, go. Oh, we're here. We're back. We are back. So now, wherever we were, um, so yeah, there's a lot of different things with the alters and false memories, things like that. So let's get into the projects that you are investigating, or the project that was your like the big project that you're investigating that got you to these that got you like all the information that you're really working on right now and delving into these CIA projects. What was the big one that really, because there's so many of them. I know you probably did a lot on all of them, but what specific one do there's always this like with me specifically, because I only speak on the eye, but there's always like this one specific project that I'll look into and I'll go deep into a rabbit hole. Did you have a specific project like that? What was it called, and what's the information about it that you have?
I guess for me initially it was the Montauk Project was many years ago before all the local hubbub on it. I mean, I'm from Long Island, so I had a little bit more closer proximity to the story. And I just happened to be in a Barnes and Noble bookstore in Bayshore one day, and um, walking in, there was a table of books on sale, and there was a book called Weird New York. And I like weird things, and I'm a New Yorker. So I picked up the book, I opened it up, and as soon as I opened it up, it went right to a picture. It was the Sage Radar Tower, and it was the story about Montauk, and blah, blah, blah. Montauk Project was the headline or something like that. But I remember looking at that picture. As soon as I opened up the book, I looked at the picture, and I went, oh, I've been there before. And then I started to read the story, and I went, wait a minute, wait, what? That's weird. And I didn't really have any real other recollections than that or connections at all. Um, but I did wind up becoming, I guess, on the trail of all things Nikola Tesla at some point. Became very fascinated with the idea of technologies and things like that, and was doing well in my researches there. And in that capacity, I wound up, I guess, for all practical purposes, I didn't know it at the time, but I was meeting my handler. Met me in the process of me looking up this Tesla stuff, and then I got an education from someone who was obviously in the programs beforehand, and I was taught all kinds of wonderful things. I was taught a history of the alphabet agencies, how things started, where they got to where they were now. And this was someone who presented to me as a customer. That was an interesting thing in my plumbing career, was once I got to a point where I was researching things well enough, I guess, I would, I had my own thing going on, but I never, I don't have control over who calls my phone and says, can you come to my house? I just go where they give me an address. And it became rather interesting that I would be showing up to people's homes all the time that now had books to give me.
That's wild. Now, I just want to take it back a step, because sometimes the audience, they don't know what we're talking about. I know me and you know what the Montauk Project is. So let's take a step back just for a second and explain what the Montauk Project is for the audience.
The Montauk Project, before becoming sensationalized on television shows, was about some really seriously dark stuff going on the east end of Long Island. Which, if you're into television shows and you want to know the truth about the dark side of the Montauk Project, go to Netflix and type in dark. That's the true story of what happened at the Montauk Project. And it has to do more with manipulating consciousness through time and space, to put it in a nutshell. And a lot of people are going to have a hard time digesting that that's possible, but that's not really my problem. The technology exists now, and the techniques existed for eons. If you disagree with me, I have piles of books and many of people that would say otherwise. You don't have to take my word for it. Reality is not how it's been presented to you, folks. Sorry you've been lied to. Not my problem.
Right. We're just here to help expose those things so you can collect yourself and get to that next step. And one thing I want to add to that is there is this, they have this, it's sort of like a conspiracy theory, they say, but
Hmm.
in the Vatican, they have this machine called the coronavisor.
Yep.
And the coronavisor lets the user manipulate time and space and view certain big events
Hmm.
within our history. It
Yes.
is said through research that they are actually have viewed the crucifying of Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
They saw where Noah had built the ark. They also saw Muhammad and his quest to bring the Muslim faith to all of the Middle East.
Hmm.
They also saw things that were a little bit further forward in time, as for the like the crucifying of Jesus, the fall of Rome. They've there is a theory that this machine does exist within the Vatican, and we know that just on its own that the Vatican is not a state, it is not a country, it is a self-contained piece of land that is essentially its own entity from everything else. So, and also, there's a lot of things that the Vatican has artifacts through the Judeo-Christian faith that go back, that have powers, like the spear that stabbed Christ. There's so many things at the Vatican that we know nothing about, which is one of the reasons why the Crusade happened, was because they were trying to, what they tried to do is they tried to go to, the Knights Templar tried to infiltrate the Middle East and grabbed all of these artifacts that were of that time period and brought them back to the Vatican. So it's almost, they're not, I don't want to say that they're parallel or an extension of each other, but that just goes to show you that in our history there are things that are unexplainable
Hmm.
at those times and place, like that kind of machine, the chronovisor.
Hmm.
Now,
Absolutely.
just to go a little bit further with it, that there is so many things that have to do with the bending of time and space, where we've had instances where time travelers have come back and have talked about these specific moments, that really that there's like these pocket portals that they can come through to a specific time. So
Hmm.
we know that there's a lot with magnetic fluctuations that tamper with it, but
Hmm.
the Montauk Project is delving into that specific mentality of bending time and space and or manipulating those on a
Hmm.
conscious level to program them to be sleeper cells,
Hmm.
uh, basically to astral project. There's so many departments that
Yes.
we'd have to sit here and do a 7-hour show to
Yes.
compartmentalize all the different subjects that fall under that specific program. And there are a multitude of programs just like it throughout history.
This is why I'm trying to get unity in the community. This is why I want everybody to start talking, because I believe everybody has value. And I believe things are actually so much more complex that I think we need to start communicating so we actually realize how different our stories are. I think too many people are trying to find stories that are all alike, because then we'll very rapidly get to the answer as if it's that simple. I don't think we're going to rapidly find common ground. I think we're going to rapidly find that the problem is so vast that we have a lot of conversations to have, because everything you said, I agree with about the Vatican. Okay. The problem that makes it exponentially worse is they're not the only ones with the chronovisor. They were the first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
The
now
machine
everything
has
you
been
said is true.
replicated hundreds of
Everything you
times.
everything you've said is true about that faction. So now think about, the power the Vatican has. They can look into the future. Okay, cool. Now think about how many other factions now have that, what that means, and what type of warfare is going on in this new environment where we're having people on every side wielding weapons that the general population isn't even aware of.
Absolutely. And just to go further, if you thought that the Vatican was by itself in that matter, you that's ridiculous or almost naive, because there's a duality in man where
Mm-hmm.
there's always an opposing force to something else.
Mm-hmm.
There is no one entity that stands above the rest. There is
Mhm.
always a counterbalance to that entity.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we would be under the rule of that specific faction
Mhm.
worldwide or
Mhm.
even universally. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So there are, but with this specific subject, there's more than just two. There's
Mhm.
probably what, seven, eight, nine factions, maybe even more than we know.
Oh,
Sub
it's
factions.
innumerable. We from our perspective, we might as well just call it infinite, because here we are on Earth, and we don't even know the amount of factions fighting for us as a resource right here, locally.
That is such an epic thing to think about too. Is we, you know, people go about their daily lives and sometimes don't realize these things, but there is a sub level of our humanity that is
Mhm.
literally at a constant opposing side of something else. There is
Mhm.
always some other person or place. We could be staring at somebody that sits across the table from us, and they could be part of a different denomination of that faction, working for them without the knowledge of actually working for them.
Mhm.
So it's epic and it's so intricate and it's so hard to fathom and it sounds
Mhm.
fantastical. It really does. But
Mhm.
if 2020 didn't show you anything, it showed you that there is so much more out there that is unexplainable and that we don't know,
Mhm.
especially with the events happening right now. You know, so many people have this well, I want to say they see what they see from media sources and they think a certain way when really there's somebody else playing chess
Mhm.
that's exposing so many things that we thought to be that we thought to be justified or right that are now being turned on its head.
Mhm.
Now think about that on a universal scale. I mean,
Mhm.
we are a microcosm to the macro, which is the entire universe, which is why the show is called Full Spectrum Universe, because we take in everything, all
Mhm.
considerations, all different types of uh, facts and all different stories, all different subjects, because the, it's limitless. There's no bounds. There's it knows no bounds. There's no out of bounds area that can't be touched. Everything is intricately interwoven in some way or another, which is
Mhm.
why when you say unity and we need to come together, it is not important, it's essential.
Mhm.
It's essential in that moment. And if people don't realize that, and what happens is when people have stories, every story is told through perception. Perception is embodied by ego. So when two people have different perceptions and they both feel they're right, the ego takes over and they start casting doubt upon the other.
Mhm.
Therefore, nobody can work together. That's why you
Mhm.
always need to keep an open mind and always listen to what people have to say. You have to always be a better listener than you are talker, I guess you could say, or
Mhm.
interpreter. But
Mhm.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just
No, no,
ranting.
no, no worries. I'm thinking that, to me, in my mind, I'm thinking that the challenge at this point is to take all these people from different experiences. And what I've suggested to people is, in these conversations where we're sharing experiences, that we don't focus on the things that make our stories different. There's always going to be differences. We're all different people and having different experiences. If we focus on the differences, we will always get nowhere. We'll always never agree. But if we share our experiences, and if there's at points in time we get to things that are differing, then we just move to the things that we agree on in our experiences, and that'll help us move closer to the truth rapidly. And I think people need to stop this whole bickering thing, about, who said this, like that person or not. To me, that's divisive. To me, those people should be looked at questioningly. If you're suggesting that every story should be homogenous, I look at you funny.
I agree with you 100%. And the other part that we have to talk about is that everything is perception. And the
Mhm.
Montauk Project actually skewed perceptions back in the day.
Right.
So is this something that we're talking about that they manufactured this animosity towards each other so we don't get to the truth? So you're actually doing a service to what they're trying to do by not having that open mind and
Mhm.
taking in what that other person has to say. And I truly believe that that is what they have done. They have
Yes.
opposed each other, or us to oppose each other, so we can't get the story straight. So
Mhm.
therefore, like I said, it's essential
Mhm.
that this needs to happen.
It's controlled confusion. This is what I talked to Penny about and such, that way back when these programs were manufactured for the purposes of mind control. Initially, it was in a targeted capacity where they would work on a one-to-one basis to get a mind figured out, and they would target individuals. Well, that was a training program. It was research and development. They're beyond that now. I'm not targeted in that way, so to say, anymore. Everyone else is. They figured out what they needed to figure out, and just like you pointed out, this is now what's going on today. We are actively in World War III, and the weapons are no longer conventional. They are the patented directed energy weapons of the battlefield of the future that we somehow believe is going to be applied to troop forces in a foreign land. It's not what this stuff was designed for, and we are actively witnessing in our civilian world the effects of directed energy weapons. If you want to learn about that, study Dr. Giordano. He's a neuroscientist. He does a great talk at West Point where he's educating the future leaders of our military on the future weapons that they will have to deal with and the symptoms to look for. They are not conventional. And when you study these things, you'll see that our civilian population is currently suffering what are known symptoms of commercialized military grade weapons that are for sale to the public, to the highest bidder.
And if we take an instance of where this has happened, a few years ago, they had a meeting in Cuba, right? And there
Mm-hmm.
was a delegate from the United States, there was delegates from Cuba, and all of a sudden, everybody in the place started getting sick, throwing up, diarrhea. They felt terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could explain why. And even the I don't know if it was the military or the government, our government, came to the conclusion that they were hit with some kind of subsonic wave from a weapon that caused them to have this reaction. And the thing about that is we all vibrate at a frequency. If
Mm-hmm.
they're using a specific frequency, if I can emulate a specific frequency, I can make you throw up. I
Right.
can make you crap your pants. I can make you pass out.
Mm-hmm.
So all that's an energy based weapon. They're just using a frequency
Mm-hmm.
instead of there's other types of energy that can be used. That can be
And that's more
manufactured.
proactive, actually. They can actually just make you sad.
Mhm.
They can make you compliant. Mask on your face, mask on your face.
Not
You,
only that, not only that, it's also with this propaganda and ushering you into these thoughts. They
Mhm.
literally have when that started, they took a like some kind of testing subject and they manufactured the vision of what this person saw
Mhm.
every day until their mind accepted a specific reality that wasn't actually reality. It was almost programming them to be a specific way or to have certain triggers that turn them off, which is why when somebody like you has that epiphanic moment, it
Mhm.
triggers a backlog of everything you've experienced to that point, and it becomes an emotional experience at a level of probably of which you've never had because your mind literally catches up. And like your mind is a beautiful thing. It does so many different things.
Mhm.
It's almost like it repaired itself by
Mhm.
going further into these memories and picking up on these things. it
Mhm.
so it's a reaction everybody has. It's called being red pilled, no
Mhm.
matter what the subject is.
Mhm.
There's a red pill, a black pill, and a blue pill. Blue pill means you don't give a damn. Black pill means that you're engaging in a lot of things that don't specifically have to do with you, but it's opening your eyes to more. Red pill is finding information that essentially is changing how you see things and your perceptions of everything. And
Hmm.
it's a radical thing. It messes people up at first, but
Hmm.
after the dust settles, you start to see clearly. It's a, you know, that's why I love your name is Deciphering My Experiences, because you're literally decoding your life and what it was
Hmm.
and where it's going to go further. But now you have a better grasp on it because you understand all of
Hmm.
the past objectivity that you've had to bring to the future with yourself. So it,
I'm really glad that you put it that way. That's a perfect way of looking at it.
well, absolutely, absolutely. And this is another reason why we have to come together,
Hmm.
because when we come together and when we put ourselves in a group so big with so much knowledge, they can't do what they do. They
Hmm.
can't be who they are. They
Hmm.
have to expose themselves further, which in
Hmm.
turn turns more people to the side of knowing. And the more we know, the better we are,
Yep.
the more
And I think
harmonious we'll live.
I want to go back to what you said about what the year 2020 should teach us. And it goes right back to what you just said. I think the year 2020 should teach everybody the power of the edit and to understand how much their life has been impacted by that up until 2020. The way that information has been presented to you up until now was under such a controlled edit to present reality in such a piss poor fashion to make you think that it was something different. Everyone's been lied to through the power of the edit for a solid 30 years. You've been misinformed and lied to about what's been going on around you, where your money has went, what it's been invested to, what technologies are available. You know,
What
I've
technology
seen.
does to you, not even just available, but what your phone does to you.
Yes, 100%. Yes, everybody's talking about all of these things that, in the future we need to be afraid because you know what they're going to be able to do? Yes, exactly what they can do right now. You've been lied to. They're already doing it.
They manufacture that reel that when I
Mhm.
was talking about when somebody gets programmed, they
Mhm.
manufacture what you see
Mhm.
to put you in a specific state of mind.
Mhm.
They they play on your emotions
Mhm.
by showing you visions that make you feel specific ways. It's
Mhm.
it's it's this wild thing. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people when they have to do research on something, they come to me because I know that history is written by the victor, right? History is always written by the guy who won.
Mhm.
I know that, and anytime I dive into a subject, I
Mhm.
take it further than that. I know that. So
Mhm.
I look at histories from both sides of the mantle instead
Mhm.
of just looking at what the history book tells you. I
Mhm.
look at witness accounts. When I do research, I feel that my research and I'm not saying that people don't do this, but I can't speak for them. I can only speak for me. I do it differently and I see different things that people don't normally see because I have been red pilled. I
Mhm.
am objectively open to everything. I stand outside of the box instead of sitting in the circle, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. I respect that, and I challenge other people to rise up to that level in our society today. We need that. We need people to actually ask questions. We need people to understand their own knowledge base and question it, right? I was raised Catholic. I went to 13 years of Catholic school, okay? I learned about the Council of Nicaea and Constantine. Not a lot of people really study this stuff. So now I have a lot of people that love throwing their Bible in my face and talking to me about Christianity. And I ask them if they're a pre or post Constantine Christian. Do you just believe the info of your conqueror, or do you believe in Jesus Christ?
But yeah, I mean, there is.
And a lot of people don't know what the hell I'm talking about when I say that. But it's okay. It just goes to show that they don't really know what they're talking about. It's not my problem. I'm here to try to help people, like you said, to learn, to get more educated, to understand that the power of the edit has put people in a position to think they're very informed.
They're really not. They're actually fed false information. So when the
Mhm.
real information comes to them, they
Mhm.
dispute it as mistake and
Yes.
or fake news.
Yeah.
That's what they've been gearing up to this moment, like you said, for 30 years,
Mhm.
literally, probably well further than that. It probably has
Mhm.
been going on for millennia with people who have been on this planet.
You
They
could
want
simply follow the political careers of the Bush and Clinton families and suggest that it's been going on for at least that long. So let's look at when George Sr. showed up to the scene and just track back from there to now, at least, and ask a lot more questions. Because there's one way of looking at the United States of America right now. And you could say that what maybe the Carter administration until now, that in the highest seats of our nation, okay? President, vice president, secretary of state. Um, how many of those years were without a Bush or a Clinton in those seats?
still, it's still that way. I mean, they're or if they're not of that, they're from that family. They may not have the same name. They are of blood relative to these people.
I think with those direct names, forget even the associates. You go back from when the time George Sr. got into the CIA, and you'll see that there's pretty much been a Bush or Clinton in a massively important seat
Well, even before
continually.
that, they were one of the biggest families in the United States. They funded Hitler
Yes,
during
that's
World
correct.
War II, if we
Mhm.
go even further back. So their influence has been on par for the
Yes.
last 70 years at
I,
least.
I believe if I'm getting the right Bush name correctly, forgive me, criminal Bush, if I get the wrong one, but I think it was Prescott Bush, who
Uh-huh.
was actually convicted of war crimes after World War II for trading with the Nazis and laundering money and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they're in bed with the Rothschilds and the
Mhm.
Rockefellers. They're all together. So,
Mhm.
it's I know there's a lot of people out there who are thinking, well, he's not that you're trashing on their religion, but they're just misinformed.
They're just
Like,
misinformed. Oh, I'm not trashing on their
right, right,
religion.
right. That's why I want to make that discretion. I want to
I'm
make that discretion
trashing
so they
on
know
their
that.
knowledge of their own religion. I would just say
Absolutely.
get more informed. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're a Chevy owner and you're big into Chevys and you're spewing all kinds of misinformation on your Chevy, it doesn't mean I'm against your Chevy. I'm just against you being ignorant about it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. See, I was raised Catholic too, right?
Mhm.
So there are things in the Catholic faith that that have were programmed into me to believe. But
Mhm.
now my understanding of God is
Mhm.
my own understanding of it, my
Mhm.
own higher power. I've
Right.
gone beyond the Catholic faith in
Mhm.
that sense. My
Mhm.
communication with God is a one-on-one thing.
Mhm.
It's on a daily level to where he literally can almost speak to me in
Mhm.
experience and word. So I have transcended the ideologue of the Catholic faith itself. I am denominated a Catholic,
Mhm.
but I suggest that everybody does that on a spiritual level because when you get into that next realm of understanding and going back and knowing the histories of what happened, it will make you closer to what you believe your faith might be because you are versed in it now. And any man who is versed in a subject, whatever that subject is, from front to back, side to side, is more of an asset to themselves and everybody else than anybody who wants to remain ignorant,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Absolutely. There's certainly something greater going on that I don't understand. But what I do understand is that the people that are trying to give me an understanding of what they think is going on are liars.
They have no clue. They're
Yeah.
thinking they're thinking about the what's in the like
Mhm.
the 50-yard line to the goal line, right? And
Mhm.
we're thinking about the whole property that the stadium sits on, if
Mhm.
to make a comparison, or the whole city that that stadium's in when
Mhm.
they're on the 50 to the goal line.
Yeah,
To
I
put it
would
in my
suggest the reason the Crusades started was because the Roman Catholic Church was not growing as fast as the Cathar denomination was at the time. And the Cathars did not believe in brick and mortar churches or a organized religion or tithing of any sort. So the growing Cathar movement was really going to cut into the wallet of the Roman Catholic Church. So lo and behold, some Cathars had to die.
So much so that you barely even know who they are. If you said it to somebody, I guarantee you that they wouldn't even understand where they came from, what they are, who they are. They've never heard of it.
I can bring up there's a famous phrase from the Crusades that people might be familiar with because it's stood the test of time. People don't really remember, but there were during the Crusades there were religious generals and militaristic generals that ran with the warriors to kill the women and children. But they had surrounded a village one day, and the militaristic general turned to the religious general, and I apologize for not remembering their names. But the military man was concerned because he had morals, and they had this village surrounded. And he said, what are we going to do? There's, we're supposed to kill the heathens and the this and that, but there's also women and children in there and people that aren't even in there that, we just have them surrounded, so there's like, potential innocence. So this, religious leader then turned to him and said, kill them all and let God sort them out.
They still use that today.
That's where it came from. It's from the Crusades.
That's crazy.
Biblical.
You know what? I know a lot about history, and I did not know that. You taught
Yep.
me something today. That's wild.
That was fighting the Cathars. And then eventually they had them all surrounded. The last stand of the Cathars, the Cathars made a deal and said that if they built some huge, massive bonfire or something like that, that they would surrender. And that what wound up happening was the last holdout of the Cathars proved their point. They said, this life doesn't matter. It's all greater than this, and energy and our souls will continue. So when the Crusaders held up their end of the bargain and made the big, huge bonfire, Cathars opened up the doors and they all ran out and jumped into the fire.
That's awesome. That's a wild tale too. I've read a little bit about that as well. So let's digress a little bit because I know we're going into a lot of the
You
religious
got it.
aspects of it, but just get back to the secret space program and things
You
like
got it.
that. Now, your experiences with interaction with other people within the secret space program that are claimed to be experiencers. Of course, we know that there are fraudulents and there's people who want to be but are not. You know, what has been the one thing that you think has been holding a lot of people back from coming forward with this information that they may have? I know that there is some sort of like a worry for being ostracized and things like that. But
Mhm.
what other obstacles do you think that these people are not like they're not really jumping over to get the information out?
Programming, as usual. These factions know what they're doing. Excuse me. Anytime there's organization going on and people trying to accomplish something, um, there's COINTELPRO type organizations, which people can look that one up, COINTELPRO. But there's organizations like that that'll show up and they have what they have: moles, provocateurs, and dissipators. And the process is dissipating. It's taking the energy of a movement and redirecting it basically down a dead end or into a wall so that it gets misdirected. And it's very effective. So the programming that's been applied to the people in this community by the dissipators is to teach them that their story is supposed to match someone else's. And that's the BS. That's the trick. Folks, your story is not supposed to match anybody's story. You're an individual. Share your experience, tell your truth, and if somebody tries to discount your truth, laugh at them and finger them as a dissipator.
And that goes with any subject, not just secret space program. I
Absolutely,
believe
exactly. Yes,
everybody
every subject.
follow that way of thinking because there's so many different things out there. And I know I keep
Mhm.
harping on this, but there's so many different things out there that we literally know squat about. And this
Mhm.
is how we engage in intelligent conversation about these things to figure things out. conversation has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you can't let your idealistic urges, which are programmed into you, get in
Mm-hmm.
the way of manipulating that conversation in a
Mm-hmm.
hateful way. It has to
Right.
be done on a subconscious level of open-mindedness.
Everyone's different, Rob. I mean, you have your experience, right? So from your seat, how many Long Islanders do you know would say they were A in the Montauk Project and CIA remote viewing programs, then went into the Navy submarine service, then went to the South Pole Station, and now they work in remote field camps in Alaska? I mean,
I mean, not many, of course. I don't think you're the
so
only one.
it's a different experience. So why would my stories coming out of my mouth sound anything like anyone else's?
That is 100% dead on right there. That's right on the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And another question I have for you is, what are you currently? I know, deciphering my experience.
Mm,
If you guys have not seen this show on YouTube, you have to check it out. You've had some great guests, and you are coming on to the Global Enlightenment Radio Network,
yeah.
which I'm super excited about, because that means we get to work together more. And I feel that
Mhm,
we have a very good connection when it comes to these things and investigating things and talking about them in a way that's helpful, not harmful,
mhm.
um, as well as Penny. And some of the guests that you have been revealing a lot of things. What is the focus at which you are and what are you investigating right now? What are you working on right now?
Honestly, what I'm working on right now is trying to put together the tools to help other people help themselves. As I'm going through this process, I'm a craftsman. I'm a tradesman. That's what I do. I fix things. So I feel like this is learning a different set of tools. So I'm trying to connect with people who have the ability to A, help me, and then are willing to share their skill set with me to build my skill set up so that I can help more people. So that's where my work is at right now. Is I've actually I don't know, I guess I've kind of got a calling to heal people in a way, so to say. I don't know, help people, fix people. My experience and challenges at learning to mend myself are apparently transferable to help other people as well. I have a lot of conversations with folks off camera trying to make these connections and sharing our experiences. And I get a lot of positive feedback from folks that I'm helping them out, that I'm giving them connections that they hadn't seen before. And it's just cool. I mean, I reached out to people in the past to look for that and I received it. So I want to make sure that I reciprocate and I take that energy and give it back. That's where I'm at. I want to help people get through this. I very much believe that what happened to me was wrong. I believe it's happened to a lot of other people. I do not feel special in this, that I was manipulated. I only feel special in as so far as I was able to wake up first. But I am scared that I shouldn't even say scared. I know there's enough people that have given firsthand testimony from these programs that have said hundreds of thousands of children have been through these programs, but they haven't woken up. So it is my belief that eventually systems will be shut off or energies will occur and minds will be elevated. But at some point, we're going to have a mass casualty incident where a whole bunch of people will have to deal with reframing their memories and the traumas that come flooding back. So, like when you said earlier, do I have bad days, so to say? Yeah, absolutely. It happens. I'm learning to deal with it. It's extremely challenging. I would never wish it on anybody else, but I know it's coming. And I want to be there for these people because I've been there and I have a heart and I respect that these are adults. So to say in physical form for now, when that trauma comes back, these are children. That's reality. That's the way our psyches work. And these people are going to be slingshotted back into a moment that they still themselves do not have the tools to deal with this stuff, especially because they weren't looking into it. It's going to hit them harder than it ever hit someone like me who was looking into it. It's going to be rough. So
Do
I
you
just
think?
want,
Do you think that maybe that you know, as of the last 20 years, mental illness has gone skyrocketing? Could this be a direct correlation to these types of programs and why these people have these mental illnesses because they're injecting these programs on a mass scale now.
yes, absolutely. There's a TED Talks um, on ACEs, ACES. It's an acronym. I forget. It's something about uh, children being exposed to traumatic events, an ACEs score. And I believe, like you said, that it is programming. Many more people have been involved with it. People should take the ACEs test, find out what their ACEs score is, and find out if you've been impacted by trauma and learn what that means in your life. There's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of people that are waking up. There's a lot of people that have been hurt. And since they're not communicating with each other about their experiences because they're uncomfortable, because people are telling them that they're supposed to have words that come out of their mouth that takes their experience and makes it similar to someone else's. So since they can't do that, they don't talk. And since they have been traumatized, they present to someone else as being mentally ill. No, that's just technically a kid having a bad day in an adult body.
And here's the other part of that, right? So we're going back to the duality, the dark and the light.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing works in the light. You're helping people, which again is super admirable. I was honored to have you on before I knew that you were helping people, but hearing you state those words before, it's even more of an honor to have you here because I believe that we should be working towards helping anybody and everybody with whatever they need. I think that that's how this world will become a harmonious type of civilization. And my skill set is open for your use anytime you need it. It'll always be there to help you at any time because I firmly believe in helping people like that.
It matters.
It does, and I'm here to help in any way I can.
Yeah,
So here,
I'm almost thinking of this now. Like I'm even seeing the name up on the screen, deciphering my experience. Like in a way, I almost feel like at this stage of the game, it's almost like deciphering our experience. Like I started looking into this to figure out what happened to me, and I very rapidly learned what happened to me was very wrong, and I very rapidly learned that what happened to me happened to a lot more people. So to me, it's like it's not even about me anymore. I'm healing. I'm learning. All right, life sucked. I got kicked in the nuts a lot. Um, but I'm dealing with it. And I'm not a person that likes watching people get sucker punched. I've been on the street, I've seen things go south, and I've never liked when that happens. So I never wanted to see a friend get sucker punched. I never want to see a stranger get sucker punched. But I feel like right now, there's so many people in society poised to get sucker punched.
yep, absolutely. And here's the other part of that too, is like I was saying with the light. When we're waking up, right? There's a light wake up and then there's a dark wake up, which people don't realize. You can
Mhm.
wake up on the light side with correct information. There are people who are waking up and they're waking up in the realm of dark and it's
Mhm.
misinformation and they're coddled and they're put to work for the dark when they really think that they're just waking up and being red pilled like the rest. And it's egregious. They have no idea what's happening and they feel that they're at a level that the people of the light are. But in reality, they will never be because
Mhm.
we come from a place of love, light, and heart. They're working from a place of dark despair and suspicions so much. So I believe that there is a duality to that wake up too, and it is utterly the most important thing to recognize which side of that line you are on.
Correct. And a lot of people, you are right, are completely misinformed. Mark Passio is a wordsmith and an amazing quick intellect. I do not remember the line of questioning that he utilized, but he would say that there's there's a few questions that he would throw out there that he could ask someone about their belief system, and very rapidly they would, more or less answer in an agreeable way, at which point he would then turn and say, oh, so you're a Satanist. And these would be
bug out.
And they'll bug out because they thought they were Christians. But when he asks the question and they agree, it turns out that they're actually aligning themselves with what they didn't realize were actually satanic beliefs, because they were presented in a way that made them seem palatable. And he, as I think he uses the term recovering Satanist, I don't know, but so he's been in these programs and he talks at length about how much these programs love infiltrating other things and messing with their info and confusing it and bringing them into the fold over time, because people are confused and not asking the right questions. And now, next thing you know, they're not Christians, but they're Satanists, which is exactly what Christ was saying in the Bible, by the way, is be careful to not get confused and follow Satan. He's a trickster. But heaven forbid you tell a Christian that they've been tricked by Satan.
That's the ultimate light wake up to dark wake up.
Correct.
And that's why the Great Awakening is important. But it has to be a specific awakening in a way that we get these people to the right side instead of the dark side. And it's not something that we can do without informing them about the things that you're working on, because they need to know those things so they can digest it. They can decipher, hence the name, and decipher where they want to be. Now, some may choose the dark side because they're comfortable with it and because they like it. Some will actually come from that fold to the light. And it's actually something like that in Revelation. And I don't mean to quote the Bible, but when Jesus comes down on his white horse with the great sword, okay, he goes to hell to free everybody in hell. But there are some that choose to stay in hell, or he leaves behind, because what they have done is so terrible that no matter what, they will never be allowed into heaven.
Someone's got to keep the lights on in hell.
Right. Well, exactly. But that shows you, that's almost like a metaphor for this awakening, right? In the sense of light and dark, not so much to the T of what the text says.
It's a yin and yang. There is a balance to this, and people need to understand that.
And there will always be a balance as well.
There will always be a balance. There will always be a light, and there will always be a dark, and either side will always wax and wane.
But we just have it's how we tip the scale.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And there's all these kinds of cliches that are true. Good always will, good prevails over evil in the end. That's
eventually.
True. Eventually. But now how much time has to go in between where evil is kicking the shit out of good?
Right.
But
the Dark Ages. That's what the Dark Ages represents.
Yeah. All of these things, to everything there is a season. And right now, I think we're at a point where people are going to have their blinders ripped off of them. And it's going to be painful for a lot of people to have the truth come hammering in, because I feel like all of the lies, it's like, yes, I do enjoy what I do. I'm bringing out the truth to people. I'm helping people. But in a way, it's also, I need to be blunt about it because it's painful truth. The lie is so big on purpose. They made it like it's indigestible. You'll choke on it. It's too big. It's massive. All of the things that are going on through eons and eons of deception. We have people contemporarily. They wake up in the morning, they go to work, they have bills to pay. I get it. That's the limit of their perspective. But that perspective was designed for them. That's the boundary of where they were meant to look. But I can assure you that in the grander scheme of all of the cosmos, you are not so blessed to be birthed on this planet to work a 9-to-5 job and just be sweating your mortgage payment every month. There's certainly more to this.
I totally agree with that.
If somebody wants to try to convince you that I'm wrong, they're misinformed or part of the program working against you, and they know it.
That's you know what? And here's the other part of this too is that there is a network and there is a system on how this works, right? And I believe that your department in this system is one of the most important with the waking up and that blunt reaction. And there's somebody there to catch them and say, listen, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be okay. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to, it's going to be bad, but
Mm-hmm.
you have help.
Mm-hmm.
You're not alone. There are many like you. We have been through this. Let us help you in the sense of when you're waking up, help you with getting information that'll help you go back to somewhat of a semblance of not a normal life, but a life in which you can survive in your own thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
I guess we could say, because those thoughts can be damning. It can do damage
Mm-hmm.
if you dwell on those things. And it's important. What you do is important. I admire it. I think it's totally amazing. And you know, I'm so glad you came today. I am enjoying this conversation so much. You have no
I'm
idea.
really happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to jumping in on the channel and getting into the mix with everybody. I started deciphering my experience to make these connections, and I love how it's growing. I've paid attention to your channel. I really like the spirit in which that you're doing things to bring together different avenues, because it's this is the value. I mean, people, I want to give people a platform to speak their truth and to just, I mean, not to discount, not to like support, so to say, but just to say, listen, this is this person's truth. Absorb it. It's not even a take it or leave it. It's like, listen to it. You may not have any value for it at the moment, but we're going to bring on more people and we're going to have more people talk. And all of these things are going to start to paint a picture.
Absolutely. And I feel that no matter what the person is talking about, everybody's experience is important because
Mhm,
there are moments, even when somebody who you think that their story is so outlandish, they still say profound things to help you no
mhm,
matter what. And these stories are integral. Maybe you don't see it right now, but like you said, down the line, people will look at my catalog, and I'm not trying to be conceited in any way, and say, damn, with his forward thinking, he was ahead of his time, letting these people speak their truths, and then hopefully the world can replicate from that and find happiness in that and enjoy that and see these different aspects of different types of people from all walks of life and being indiscriminate in any way that these people have their ability to say their 2 cents or their 10 cents or whatever and speak their piece because
mhm,
not only is it sometimes, is it good emotionally and physically for these people to get this story out? It's also helping others. Sometimes there's a, you know, they say when you speak words, you give it weight and it lifts off your chest when you get it out there and you feel
mhm,
like you've put it out there for people to digest and to
mhm,
break down and maybe further their education in those things or their knowledge. I
mhm.
think that that's super important because we're always learning. And, you know,
In
that
certain ways, I think as a kid, I don't know. I had a lot of thoughts as a kid that now as an adult, I guess they were they were pretty enlightened thoughts for a kid. But I knew when I was younger, like I don't know, I always talked to crazy people and homeless people. I talked to everybody. I never ever looked down on anybody. And I've known, I guess, my entire life that every single human being's experience is actually of equal value. It's completely equal value. You know, it's now if you're going to apply your biases to what you think is better than someone, oh, well, this guy had a mansion, and whoa, that's what you think. But technically, every single human experience is of equal value. And if you meet someone and you can't find the value in the exchange of learning from that person's experience, that's on you. It doesn't mean that their experience in life is lacking. It means you couldn't find the value in it, and that's on you. I would
that's
never begin to discount the other person in the exchange. I would just say I apparently don't appreciate the value of their experience because I don't know them well enough.
I wouldn't even say that it's not appreciated. You may not have any knowledge of it. And
Mhm.
at that moment, you're sitting there thinking, well, it doesn't really pertain to me. But the
Mhm.
human condition is fascinating and how
Yes.
people do things.
Well,
So,
I guess I was getting at the point of like I in my mind's eye, I was thinking of like the fact that like oftentimes homeless people, in New York, they try to engage you, and a lot of people are rude and brash and stuff.
absolutely.
But I would be different. I treated every human being with respect. I would engage the conversation as presented. It doesn't mean that I'm giving them money or cigarettes.
Right.
It means I'm still going to treat them with respect and tell them have a great day, best of luck in your travels.
You value their humanity.
Hell yeah,
That's what it is. I
you
believe
know.
it. That's truly. And you know what? It's funny, but by not looking down upon people in any way, shape, or form, you actually are becoming enlightened
Mhm.
100% because you're accepting others' realities as they see them. Therefore,
Mhm.
your knowledge is infinite. It's infinite. And I
But
believe that is huge.
and just so you know, I mean, to take this a little bit further, I mean, I'm not even talking about just being nice and discounting, or not discounting in getting away from them. I mean, I know the normal routine: a homeless person walks up to someone, asks for stuff, and everybody's rude and throws them away. Um, I would try to make them leave with a smile. I'm not giving them money. I'm not giving them cigarettes. If I had food, I would certainly share it. I know the routine. They don't really want it. It is what it is, but I would still engage them. How's your day going? Otherwise, are you getting lucky? Are you getting cigarettes? Are you get like just whatever? Just treat them like a human being. I know the scam they're up to still, and I would still just engage that. Wish you the best of luck. You should try to just treat them like a human being for what they're actually doing. And I would get a lot of heat from people for that, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're like a crazy magnet," and I'm like, "Not a crazy magnet. I'm just a human magnet."
Right. And that, when you say that, it brings me back to an old saying. It says, you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach
Mhm,
a man to fish and he eats for the rest of his life. Those
mhm,
interactions could have profound effect on people, regardless of what anybody says. It could
mhm,
be one or two words that helps that man in some way
mhm,
where you don't know, but
mhm.
he does, or he doesn't know just yet, but he'll figure it out. Same can happen to you as well.
Oh, absolutely. They were teaching me stuff.
Right.
I
Right.
took it as an opportunity to go against society and not think this person unimportant. So I just went the other direction, tried to engage them and see what I wasn't teaching them anything. They were teaching me stuff. I would ask them about their life and how they got there.
One thing I love about this conversation is we've gone all over the place. I think
It is kind of it is.
those are the best. These are the best episodes because we talk about so much stuff that
Yep.
you have to go back and watch it again to be like, wait a minute, we did say that? Okay, so I
Mhm.
want to come back a little bit and tell us what we can look forward to. We got about 20 minutes left, I believe. I do have
Mhm.
to get off around 8 o'clock. I know they said we
10-4.
can go overtime, but we have to eat dinner.
Ten
Um,
four.
so we got about 20 minutes. About tell us what people can look forward to in your show, what we're going to get, and the things you're going to try and explain for us and help us down the line. If you know it, I know you say you've been thinking about things and
Things are
working
moving.
on it.
Things are moving fast and furious, and I'm happy you brought it up. I recently got in contact with Tony Rodriguez, which was, like I mentioned earlier, somebody who had a profound impact in my awakening process. He and I have been talking. I was on a show with him recently. It went really well. We've had some conversations on the phone since then. So I look forward to talking to him more. I mean, I really do believe that this is going to help my awakening process and therefore help others. Um, this new channel here, you guys, this is the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. I've been asked to jump on board with you folks and start doing a show here as well, which I'm really happy to have that as an opportunity, and I look forward to that communication and seeing about making that happen. I mean, I don't even really know much about this channel, to be honest with you. I started doing guest spots with you folks, and it's going really well. I'm liking everything that's happening. Penny's here, you're here. Odin's a really nice guy so far, from what I can tell. So, I mean, everything's just nice. And I love right now, I feel like it's all about connections. I feel like it's more awakening. Um, I've been tapped. I recently did a television show that should be airing soon, and that production company has been talking to me about doing some more episodes. So I like that my research is getting traction as well. Um, the television show was on about secret submarine bases in Ketchikan, Alaska, and alien connections and things like that. So I mean, it's
Awesome.
right in there, for the stuff that you enjoy, and the stuff that I enjoy as well. I mean, there's so many things that I would say fall under the umbrella of the secret space program. I mean, it really is almost the perfect umbrella for every other conversation to fit under. There's really almost no topic that isn't involved in the secret space program.
I have come to find that out doing my research into it. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
things I could tell you about this specific network, and one of the things that I personally love about it, like you said, is the connection between the people. We
Mm-hmm.
help each other. We're there for each other. You have people of like-minded subjects to talk to
Mm-hmm.
shoot things off of, different ideas for shows. What about
Mm-hmm.
this? We do special events like we did with me, you, and Penny,
Mm-hmm.
and Odin as well was there,
Mm-hmm.
and the other gentleman that was with us. Not only that, if you look on Facebook, Facebook is one of 62 different platforms
Mm-hmm.
that we are actually on, about to be 63.
Oh, geez.
So, with that being said, I am very involved on this side where it is the microphone, but I'm also involved on the other side in helping Daryl and Katie to do whatever they need as a third party to help boost whatever I can do to help them as well,
Mm-hmm.
because I
I'm
want us
glad to
all to
hear
get
that.
out. So with that being said, one of the great things is that your show has the potential to have 100,000 live viewers at one time.
I'm
You know,
looking forward to it.
I'm
I mean,
sure I don't know my exact numbers, but I know that I've had shows that are almost up into the 30,000s,
Mhm.
whether it be over time or but it hits that range. And that's the effect is that's awakening the people and bringing those people together that you see. So there is a thirst for knowledge that they come to this station for. And
Well,
we
let's
so many
let's
subjects that we fill every void that could be tapped.
let's focus on that really quick then, because I also have trouble hanging on to topics and stuff in my head. I try to write things down a lot.
Good.
Um, the idea then is, oh geez, I just totally lost it right there. What were you just saying?
That we connect to so many people over whether it be the initial show or like Facebook is
Yes,
one platform.
yes. So I am looking forward to this and hearing these types of numbers, because I know you're a researcher, you're looking into these things, you're starting to look into my information. I get that we have communications to have. I'm sure that you can gather at this point already. I'm probably sitting on some stuff.
Oh, I know.
I'm not looking to talk to a wall. Once I can find out that I'm actually getting out to people, it's going to be some more interesting conversations. Because as you can see, like you're talking about these platforms, I'm well aware of the fact they're trying to shut us up.
Oh,
I know.
absolutely. Absolutely. And the moment that microphone goes on,
Mhm.
you will be touching a lot more people than you think. I will
Correct.
guarantee that. And you know, people sometimes look at like the numbers on Facebook or this or
Mhm.
that. That is nothing. That is nothing. Not even a tenth of the amount of people that we reach on this network. We are
Mhm.
vast, we are wide, and
Mhm.
terrestrial radio is afraid of us
Cool.
because
Mhm.
we are getting to this point where we are attracting the right types of people, we're
Mhm.
bringing in the right types of hosts,
Mhm.
and in that moment there is this unspoken how do I say it, this it's bringing it to life. It is like a movement that can't be stopped.
Mhm.
We are an unstoppable force. We will get to you some way or another.
Well, I'll give you my teaser so far for what I've
Okay,
been working on for my show. Okay.
excellent.
I have my deciphering my experience thing going on. That's going to be something separate. I want to go as a support avenue for you guys in the direction for everybody. So let me know what you think of this. World War III has begun. The battlefield is the mind. You're losing the battle. We are here to help. Elevate your mind.
I think that that's perfect because I see it. Some people don't. I agree with you 100%. This
Mhm.
is modern warfare. War is
Yes.
not, there are people who use guns and
Mhm.
bombs and tanks and planes. There is a different level of war. It's like
Mhm.
looking at the different dimensions. So they say there's the third dimensional elevation of enlightenment. This is
Mhm.
like fourth dimensional warfare,
Yeah.
the
Yes,
start
exactly.
of fourth dimensional warfare.
Thank you. That literally, that is like, so like Michael, I call him a 4D veteran because it's what other terms am I going to use? And yes, I do believe that's precisely what's going on. We are in a 4D quantum war. Time and space is not what most people have been taught, and things can happen differently. And like you said earlier with the chronovisor, that's technically, in one sense, a device, in other sense, a weapon, depending on what you want to call what at what time. If information is something that can be weaponized, well, then a device that can gather information across time and space is technically just a ammo collector.
That's right on. That is right on the money. This is why I love talking with you. I mean, we had a connection when we were doing the last show with Penny, and I'm
Mhm,
so glad that we explored all of this. And I'll
mhm,
tell you, you always can come on this show and speak anything you want because we are unrestricted. I am the ultimate outsider, like some other people out there. So, whatever it may be, hopefully I'll have some knowledge on it. If not, let me know. I will do my diligence and get that knowledge. I love having in depth conversations about things that we can talk about that are
mhm,
on different levels because we've gone from superficial to super intellectual, back to humorous, up to faith. I mean, we literally did one of these today and hit everywhere. And not to be so animated, but man, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm
I
telling
miss
you,
talking with Italians, to be honest.
that's me. That's
I enjoy. I appreciate the nuance of actual conversation. I actually need that. So to me, the animation, I'm all for that. I need to see someone when I'm communicating with them.
I enjoy that as well. And one of the things to go with this subject is once you do get that awakening, you tend to not speak to so many people anymore. Your friends kind of go away because
Mhm,
there is a superficial ostracization that they
mhm,
feel that now you're crazy. Now you think you know everything. And
mhm,
there's a lot of different egos that come
mhm,
involved with it. And I think that it's pathetic. It's it's immature. And I think that they are naive because when this whole thing is laid out to dry in the sun, they're literally gonna look at people like me and you, and I'm saying not to be conceited, as the future. We were ahead of our time.
mhm,
I truly believe that. And that's why I call myself the ultimate outsider, because I don't fall in the constraints of time and space, of textbook thinking,
mhm,
of knowledge that is pressed from some other source. I gather it on my own. Therefore,
mhm,
I am on the outside. There is a bubble and a square, and I am on the outskirts of all of it.
mhm.
There is nothing that, no shape that holds me together. I am not in any community, I am in all communities.
Right.
I am not any one person. I am all people, just
Yes.
like that. And I'm
I'm
not saying that in a godly way or in any kind of,
nope. We the
super
people.
pretentious way.
We the people is the answer to all of our problems in this nation.
I
And
truly believe that.
we the people have been so well divided by the power of the edit that it saddens me when I wake up in the morning and I see the bickering because I know these people actually don't hate each other, but management loves making labor bicker.
Divide and conquer. They want you to be subservient and submissive,
Mhm,
and they're going to do whatever it takes to make you fall into that role. They
mhm,
have this notion that they are greater than you. And honestly, that can't be farther from the truth.
right.
You You are more powerful in every way, shape, and form than they will
Mhm.
ever be, and it scares the shit out of them.
It really does. They're actually terrified of the masses, and that's why they do what they do. And they do know that they're weak. You're right. I mean, it's very true. Hmm.
Now, let me ask you a question. Since we talked about history a little bit, what do you think the next 5 years looks like on this planet? That's a tough question. I know. There's so many
It's a tough
variables.
question because we're at a precipice right now, and I'm really concerned that it could go either way. I am hopeful, technically,
Give
that the
us
current
both. Give
administration
us
wins.
both situations. What
Yeah,
would good or bad look like?
I would hope that if the current administration prevails in the battle that is going on, that a lot of bad people get swept up and karma comes in
Karmatic
as
debt is huge.
which is just appropriate because I don't like to technically wish ill on people. I just like to watch karma happen, and
Hmm.
I will grin when people get what they deserve, but I don't try to promote negativity. I'll just like to be grinning when it happens.
That's a great way to put that. That is a great way to put that because I am truly behind that 100%. I
Yeah, I
don't wish ill on anybody, but
right.
there is a debt that needs to be repaid because of the egregious acts of these few people for so many years.
If I get to witness Hillary Clinton go to jail, I will smile.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
If she's
She's
hanged, I will smile. I'm not going to lie, but
no,
I will sit
no,
here.
I
I
would
will
never
sit
ask
here.
you to.
I would never pretend that I'm wishing for that. I'm not wishing for it to happen, but I know what my reaction will be. I can't lie. I will totally grin if that happens.
Well, you have to think about this too. When you cast yourself in a treasonous light, the
Mhm.
ultimate consequence is the end of your existence.
Fair enough. Mhm.
So, so
Yeah.
give us the bad side. What would
The
be
bad side, I mean, if the other direction goes, it's going to be a bloodbath. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that one. These people um, are profiteers. Okay. I mean, we have to be realistic. They're profiteers, is the idea. They're doing this for money. Um, and they're really old. So, guess what?
huh,
That means they're looking to cash out right now. So, if they win, that means they cash out. And if they're going to cash out, guess what the payment is? Our nation.
that is very true. That's very true. I didn't think about it like that too. So, uh, I
So you will
am
see a swift foreign action in this nation, by whatever definition, that will cause conflict and strife and bloodshed.
I honestly think that no matter which way it goes, whether it's good or bad, there's going to be blood spilled. I hate to say that. I am not a negative person, but
Mhm.
I believe that regardless, there is going to be blood spilled. Now, here's the difference. If it goes bad, good blood will be spilled. If it goes good, bad blood will probably be spilled.
I can
And if
follow the logic.
now if it's good, it'll be less, more punishment than blood. If it's
Mhm.
bad, it'll be opposite that. It'll be more blood than punishment.
I guess there's
And
a certain amount of, and I hate to use these terms. It's like they're forming in my head, but they sound distasteful. Blood justice versus blood vengeance. And I
yes,
imagine blood vengeance is bloodier.
I would agree. I would agree. So we're getting close to the end. I want you to tell everybody where they can find you
Mhm.
and all the things that you have to all your different platforms where you are.
You
I'm
got it.
sh- Go ahead.
Currently, I'm on YouTube producing videos while they're letting me on there. You can simply follow me at Deciphering My Experience. It's all one word. I'm also on MeWe now. I was deplatformed on Facebook with no warnings whatsoever in my life. They just threw me off entirely. So I'm no longer there. But MeWe is an excellent platform, and you can find me there also under Deciphering My Experience. Those are obviously public platforms. If you are an experiencer, if you have a story that you want to share, or you're just someone that's having trouble and looking for a little bit of help, you can email me at decipheringme369 at gmail.com, and then that will obviously be private. I can only give you assurances that I will not share your story without you telling me to. I mean, I've been pretty fair up until this point with folks. People have reached out to me and I have put them on the air when they asked for it. And when they have not, and they just wanted help, you can email me and I will try to use any of my life experience to help you figure out yours.
Excellent, 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 excellent. I was trying to find my new platform that we've just become. I can be found now at on TikTok. We doing little small TikTok videos to entertain people as well. Right, usually right before we go live, maybe something during the day, give you a little bit more of exposure of my life itself. The funny side of things too. And you can find us, TikTok at full_spectrum_universe. Please follow us there. We're trying to make that account big so we can do lives over there as well, on top of the shows that we do. We are on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube as well. All you have to do is the search bar, go to youtube.com/full spectrum universe. We'll pop right up. You can also find us on the Global Enlightenment Radio Network.com, their website, which is again Global Enlightenment Radio Network.com. We are there. Everything is cataloged. We can be found on iHeartRadio as well under Global Enlightenment Radio Network.com or Global Enlightenment Radio Network. Whichever you put in, it will produce the channel that we are on. I am on Parler at parler.com/RobYox2525. We are on Discord as well as Full Spectrum Universe. We have a live chat that is 24 hours with questions, comments, whatever it may be. We actually just started a Twitch channel. I've not figured out how to use it yet, so I'm not going to give it out, but keep a lookout for that. We also have a backup platform on BitChute. BitChute is Full Spectrum Universe. It's basically the same thing. You go into BitChute, you search Full Spectrum Universe. That'll lead you to our Patreon, our Subscribestar, and our PayPal if you'd like to donate to help us get bigger and grow faster. And yeah, I mean, if there's a platform out there, I'm probably on it, just to let you know.
I'm going to jump in on that one too. Now, technically, I have to do a service to myself. I also have a Patreon and a PayPal under Deciphering My Experience. And yes, I can assure you it's more challenging since I've come out to find proper employment with the regularity that I'm accustomed to. So yes, if you can appreciate the fight that I've taken up and want to support it, by all means, Deciphering My Experience is also on PayPal and Patreon. Thank you.
Now, just to give everybody a little heads up too, is my Patreon is /Full Spectrum Universe. If you, for only $2 a month, which is not much, we have an insane amount of extra content for everybody to digest. There's one-on-one talks where I just talk to you guys. There's extra hours of episodes that maybe you had somebody for an hour, or other hours of extra episodes with different guests. We've been working really, really hard to get a exclusive content for just that Patreon. And also, if you have a small business and are starting up, whether it be internet or local, remember, we reach hundreds of thousands of people a month for $100 a month, which is literally smaller amount than any penny saver ad you can possibly do. Within a span of a month, we will promote your product and or website 2 times every episode. I am on the air 3 nights a week. So if you do the math, it is a steal. It'll only go to helping fund this operation, giving us more access to bigger and better things. With that being said, I want to thank Eric. Thank you for coming on, man. It has been super awesome to have you here. I hope you come back. I love to do roundtable talks. I want to get you on. I also want to do an exclusive episode strictly on the Patreon for people who are subscribed. If you're willing to do that, we're not going to do that today. We'll do it another time. But another one where we can go even deeper and we can be super uncensored.
Oh yeah, this is more or less the first time that we spoke, and we're kind of feeling each other out for what we know and what angles and dangles and stuff. And I think it was great, but there's a lot of room for us to get more specific. For you.
Absolutely.
Um,
And
oh,
there's certain
mine.
things that we can't say because of these platforms,
Mhm.
which is also something we want to keep them, so we don't want to get kicked off, so we don't say certain things. We don't disparage their use, even though it happens, but we're trying to stay on the right side of it so we can expose people to more. And that's where the Patreon comes in as well, to further those conversations in an uncensored level.
Welcome to World War III, folks, and these are battlefield tactics. We're trying to disseminate the proper intel in a wartime environment, and look how much our enemies are trying to prevent that. Please help us help you.
Exactly. With that being said, please follow Eric. He's doing exceptional work all day, every day. We appreciate you and the manner in which you've taken on this tremendous burden of helping a lot of people. But there is a satisfaction out of it, I'm sure, as well as with me. It's something that we love doing because it does help those. And that is ultimately what matters most. So, with
Yep.
that being said, it's time for everybody to get back in that spaceship, warp speed back to your universe, because Full Spectrum Universe is closed for business. With that being said, thank you, Eric. Thank you, audience, everybody out there who was commenting, reacting, sharing, and enjoying and digesting. Until next time, you can see me on the RU Media Network on Saturdays from 8 to 10 p.m. Back again next Monday from 9 to 11 with Miss Melinda. We will be on The Seer and the Scholar. And then back here again on Tuesday for Full Spectrum Universe, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of my times are Eastern Standard Times. With that being said, thank you all for listening. I hope you all have a great night. And that's us signing off.
Have a great night.